Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 19th, 2025 meeting of the CPC. We have a quorum in attendance with Alicia Day from Park and Rec and Bartlett Harvey, one of our members in attendance via Zoom. So we'll go ahead and get started. I do have extra copies of the agenda. Would you like to?
Yes, thank you. I'm all set.
A couple more paper versions. Oh, actually, it's all good. I keep one of those. I'm sorry.
I don't need one.
Thank you.
Do you need one?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, so we'll jump right into things. So we'll start with the administrative discussion. Is there any news that anybody would like to share? Oh, Mitt, did you have something?
Yes, just wanted to share, you could consider it mail, but it's being delivered from my brain to the committee.
Sure.
Last night, the Clean Lakes Committee met, and I'm a member of the Clean Lakes Committee, and they would like to revise one of their projects, but try to keep it within bounds of what would satisfy us with our grant, because the $17,000 approximately that was for Long Lake water quality, let's say, is going to be used, but they would like to, rather than do one technology, use a different technology. So it involves a little descriptive change to their project. And therefore would like to meet with us next meeting.
Gotcha. Were they looking to have something included for the warrant this time around, this change, or?
No, I haven't looked at the wording. I think it would be helpful to, there's nothing we can do tonight with it, because we're not on the agenda with that. But it might be smart to, word it more openly through the town manager.
Gotcha. So essentially they need to amend their application.
And if we voted on that next month, it would be in time for town meeting, but the wording would have been submitted over.
That's what we'll have to look into ultimately. If the warrant closes, I mean, there'll be at least a placeholder of the original language, but we'll have to see how, we would handle, including the amended language if this board received it and then voted on it. But yeah, we can definitely put it on next month's agenda, and in the meantime, explore, what are our options if the committee wanted to, go forward with that amended language.
Yeah, I guess if I talk to our chair, John Folsom, about this and say it might matter what we put into the town meeting warrant as an article, does the language of the project usually doesn't go into the warrant? It's usually whatever we voted for money.
Typically,
and then there's somebody creates a overview, a thumbnail, right?
yeah, typically in the warrant, it'll list the project name along with the dollar amount. Yeah. So perhaps, that would be acceptable for town meeting, and then the details could get ironed out later if there was a slight amendment. But of course, the committee, I'm sure, would have to vote. But yeah, why don't we put it on next month's agenda, and we can kind of explore a little bit in the meantime and go from there.
Good, thanks.
Do we have any other news? So the only thing that Carolyn wanted me to mention was that she did send an article about the current approved projects for the town newsletter. So they'll be actually in print in that. And she also added a little bit more onto our page on the town website. So that is available. And let's see, other than that, that's all I had for news and mail. So meeting minutes, I'm not sure, we didn't get a set out to approve for tonight, I don't believe, right?
I didn't.
Okay, so we'll review meeting minutes at next month's meeting and get those in. Member updates, which is essentially the same as news.
Can we stay a minute for a minute? I was told that they're evaluating some kind of pretty successful software to, would the clerk be involved with that?
So yeah, I know that the town was kind of looking at different AI supported
Mhm.
software to kind of either take a recording and generate minutes from it,
Mhm.
or the text from a recorded meeting and generate minutes.
Mhm.
And it's something that could be really good
Well,
for
especially
meetings.
for committees like ours.
Yeah, it would at a minimum, I think, provide a great framework to kind of build off of in typing minutes instead of starting with a blank page.
Mhm.
Perhaps whatever AI software we look into, it'll come up with the text, and some are spot on when you
Mhm.
compare the text to what happened. So yeah, we're looking into it, and perhaps that'll be the way of the future. We'll have a meeting, and if it's recorded, the text will generate minutes for us.
I
Easy peasy.
suggest some human looks at it,
Yes, no, of course.
Before it gets- put in the official record.
That's the thing.
Well, we all
Still
get
have
a
to prove.
chance to,
What?
You still have to go back and prove.
True,
Yeah.
true, right.
Yeah.
And use a recommended word limit.
Yes, and whoever, serves as clerk, and like Jeff said, the committee as a whole will review the minutes. But as a good starter, like when I write, if there's something to jump off of, I always find it a little easier. But yeah, we're looking into it, and we'll see how it goes going forward. But we'll keep the human in the minutes. Right? And we're on public input. Rob, did you have anything before we jump into?
Can I discuss after, or do you want me to do it now?
Yeah, we could do it now if you want.
If you want me there or here?
There
no
was
mic.
fine. Yeah, there's,
a mic there. Okay.
yeah.
So I've got two things tonight. I'm supporting the walkway project that I think is the second item on your agenda. I'm reluctantly here, I guess, opposing the proposal for the dock expansion of $15,000. Andrew, I know you and Sal know, as Alicia knows, that I sent to you three along with Carolyn 3 weeks ago, a pretty comprehensive statement and accounting with regard to my concerns, and that is that the storage of the docks is covering up a signpost along the boat ramp, and you can barely see it. Just point to it. These are the docks. This is one of 3 stacks that go about 14 feet long. It's within 50 feet of Long Lake. And these docks block the signpost. You folks are spending, which I'm grateful for, a lot of project money with regard to our lakes and ponds. And here's the thing, it's the law. You cannot see it. It's been blocked since September. It'll probably be blocked until Memorial Day. I've been told that they've been doing this for years. I think I was told that with an eye towards accept it. It shouldn't be blocked. Move it somewhere else. And so I'm here with concerns that things that shouldn't be blocked as people are using and potentially bringing in aquatic nuisance plants or invasive plants into our water bodies. They're not even aware of what they should be doing because the docks are blocking it. In addition, Conscom, who has to give it's so close to the water body, they have to give an order of conditions and specifically says seasonal docks will be stored outside the buffer zone. Whether the buffer zone is 50 or 100, I can't really discern because I'm not on Conscom, don't know. But I'm concerned that they're doing things in violation of the Conscom order of conditions as well. And then I'll move on to the next point. The write-up, as I've seen it presented in different iterations at Park and Rec meetings or the Super Saturday budget meeting, the write-up, I think, before you discusses the need for $15,000, and the justification as I read it seems to be an inflation factor of 15% confronting them versus a 6% assumed. That's basically a net difference. Let's just round it to 10%. 10% of $42,000 would be $4,000 and change. And this is a request for $15,000. So what else is happening? I'm trying to understand what else is happening that results in a need for $15,000 instead of what's presented as I think, a $4,000 calculation. And then lo and behold, last night during CONSCOM meeting, it was identified as a discussion item for a lot that I'm familiar with because I remove invasives on this lot. And I started to hear things about a conversation that was brought into CONSCOM last night to discuss the theoretical placement of a storage area for watercraft. But another part of the concern was that through the brief discussion last night came a question from a CONSCOM member stating, how are they going to get their watercraft over to the boat ramp? Because there's some, several 100 yards difference. And it was stated, I can't verify that this is the intent, but it was stated, there's discussion of moving a dock close to the lot, which would mean it's going hundreds of yards away from where the beach location is right now, and I don't see that in the write-up either. So I find myself quite confused and quite concerned because if you haven't figured out, we already have, as far as I'm concerned, a dock storage problem that exists for almost 9 months out of the year. And we use those boat ramps in that area extensively in the off-season, the non-summer season of the beach. And now, because of the money that was approved 1 year ago, we're about to triple, basically, the number of docks that require off-season storage. So thank you for allowing me to speak. Those are my concerns.
Thank you, Rob. Number 4 on our agenda is the Park and Recreation Department's eligibility and funding request for the Long Lake dock replacement. And Alicia is here.
I'm here. I'm here from the conference, the state conference for Mass Park and Rec. So thank you guys so much for having me here. Is it okay if I share a presentation?
Absolutely. Can you do that? I don't know if I have to hit any.
Yeah, I've got share on here. Let's see if it pops
Oh,
up.
cool. There we go.
Okay. So this is a request for Long Lake dock purchase. And yes, the amount is $14,267.86 to speak through you guys to Mr. Rounce. There were two presentations that were given. One was for $4,000 and one was for $15,000. So on that same presentation, there were two different presentations. So we're going with the one that is the $14,000. So that is why there is a Mr. Rounce saw a difference between two different prices because they were two different options as far as we could go with the docks. So this dock, I'll bring up some of the things for the project that we're looking to do. And a lot of the stuff, all of you already know this because we came through and did this presentation last year. So this is that additional funds that we would need because there was more of an increase than we had expected it to. We calculated at 6% and it actually was 15%. So what we're looking to do with this specific project is that we would like to put back in, we've always had a swim box dock that went straight through the middle. The image that's on the bottom, you can see this is the old version of the dock that we had. That one has had lots of issues. It was cracking. There was water getting inside the actual 5-foot blocks. And we were getting molding inside of it. So we did get rid of those docks. We no longer have them. So we haven't had this set up for a little while. But in the past, essentially what it would do is it allowed us to have two different swim zones. As you can see in the picture, swim zone 1 and swim zone 2. And this ability for it to go out was helpful for the lifeguards to be able to if, let's say, there wasn't very many people that were on the beach that day, they could have everybody in just zone 1 and have a smaller space to be able to watch and lifeguard. And typically we'll have Camp Tehadawon in zone 2 when they're there. So we try to keep the camp separate from the public. The additional benefit to this is that it creates a quicker response time for out into the deeper end of the swim box. So it's we do have a deep dock that's out there, and that would allow, rather than having to depend on somebody, swimming all the way out there or being in the kayak or on the rescue board, it allows for a much quicker save, so to speak. So that would be to replace that dock. We're also looking at replacing the deep dock. So this configuration, we would have we would have the deep dock replicated. The one that we have now currently is taking on water. It doesn't really float all that well, and really doesn't have a whole lot of use left in it. We're definitely even thinking about, do we want to put it in the summer or not, regardless of what happens to here tonight. And then the last is, yes, a creation of a fishing dock. That's something that, as we've done our statistically valid survey for recreational needs of the town, there has been quite a big request for having a special place specifically for a fishing dock. Which is beneficial because, we want people to fish. We want people to be there and be able to have a safe spot to be able to do it. A lot of folks, what they end up doing is fishing in the swim zone, which is something that we want to avoid from happening, because if they lose lines or hooks, people are walking in there in their bare feet, and we really don't want that to be a fishing area that's specifically for swimming. So if we can create a fishing dock elsewhere, that will help with alleviating some of that double usage. So the sections of block that we are looking at, this is what the invoice would be. The previous presentation that I did that was for a smaller amount of money would only have gotten us 2 docks that are the size of the swim dock. So we wouldn't have the deep dock, and we wouldn't have the T extension on the fishing dock, which realistically you really do need that. So the location of the fishing dock is something that would go off of Lakeshore Drive. We've been working with conservation on that. So the entrance would be kind of closer to where the walkway that was created, but on the conservation side. That also would be able to be a space for individuals that have non-motorized boats. So whether that's paddle boards, kayaks, canoes, they could put in on that fishing dock as well. So it would be, right there, right off of Lakeshore. So goals of this, acquiring that new sections of dock, they help us to be able to reach those safety protocols that we're looking for to support the lifeguards at Long Lake. They do help us achieve the town's goal of creating that fishing dock for the residents. We've had individuals over the past year that have, past couple of years that have donated funds in hopes that someday we'll have enough to be able to build that specifically for a fishing dock. And then, this project specifically with CP in mind makes steps towards preserving that active recreation component at the lake and enhancing a facility that, we've been using for active recreation for quite a very, very long time. So that meets the CPC goals. Timeline. So if it was approved tonight, obviously this would be added to the spring town meeting CPC article in May. If that was approved at town meeting in May, we would then go out to bid immediately so we could get the dock sections ordered with the hope of trying to have them installed some point this summer. And the image that's on there is kind of a picture of the sections that we use. These specific types of docks, there's a couple of different providers that provide them. but each of the blocks is about 1 foot by 1 foot. They're all interchangeable, which means that, you know, if for some reason one gets damaged, you can replace it very easily, very quickly. You can put it into tons of different configurations. So it's a very useful product that's flexible in lots of different ways. So our budget. So on May 7th last year, it was approved from CPC that we got $42,436 for this project. As I said earlier, we had an increase that was more than we had calculated at that time. So the request for that additional $14,267 will allow us to purchase all of the blocks that we would need to install the fishing dock, the deep dock, and the swim box dock, all three of them. So support. CPC, you guys supported this project last year. Current year, fiscal year 2025. The Park Commission originally voted this back in 2023 to approve the purchase of the dock segments. And it was a top priority on our capital request for the past 2 years. The Select Board and FinCom supported this project in fiscal year 25 and are still supporting this project in fiscal year 2024 or 26. And we've been collaborating with Conscom to place that fishing dock off of conservation land on Lakeshore Drive. All right, that's kind of like a quick run through. And so thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Alicia.
I'll stop my share. How about that? There we go.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions? How much do these sections weigh, Alicia? These Lego blocks?
Yeah, they're pretty light. So in the presentation, we had a configuration that was probably about, I'm going to say, what was it, maybe about 20 of them. And you can have 2 people pick them up and move them. And in the past, I actually have gone down with Tim myself with those ones that were 5 foot. And we had to at least have 6 different people on the sections of dock to move them. So they are pretty light. They're hollow in the middle. I mean, they're really strong, but they do have a hollow core, obviously, to float. But they're much lighter than typical docks, you know, of old.
Excellent. And just a question to address Rob's concerns about the storage of the docks
Yeah.
currently. I actually went down and took a look at them today after work.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, in the future, is there somewhere else that we could put them? I know right now.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So we work every year with Highway Department to move stuff. And they come out with a loader to help us move bigger sections just so it's easier to take out. In the past couple of years, we've actually left the dock in over the winter. But I think we knew we were in for a pretty epic winter. So we did want to be able to take them out this specific winter, which I'm glad we did. But the sign that Mr. Rounce is talking about, you know, we can easily move those signs. That's something we can work with Highway. You know, when I come back from the conference, I'll have a conversation with the DPW director and, you know, see what we can do to be able to move that. Ideally, we had wanted to be able to kind of store them in that section where the sailing tent normally is. But we just felt like it's because there's already so much stuff that we have to store down there, and that's right on top of the tight tank as well, that it didn't make sense to be able to fit there. So, you know, we can look at different options of, you know, where we potentially could put them. But, you know, if we can have that conversation with conservation and, you know, we have a good relationship with them, so we're happy to work with them, figure that out.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be great if, you know, down the road, we could store them, maybe off-site. I can't speak for Concom, of course, but currently within the buffer zone probably wouldn't be ideal. So down the road, if we could move them, again, I can't speak for Concom, and this will have to be, something that the commission, addresses, but yeah.
Absolutely.
Explore other sites. I'm not sure, where in town, but we could certainly, so this year they'd go in the water, and then perhaps next year off-site, somewhere to be determined, I would imagine.
Yeah, we could definitely look at what options there are, because, obviously there are going to be more of the blocks. So yes, we would have to figure out the storage solution.
I just also add, I think it makes sense to look at the location of those signs, because I believe there's been enough reconfiguration down there that there is actually a water spigot somewhere else. It is not where the signs are. So having the signs next to the water spigot would be ideal.
That's absolutely correct. Yep.
So
It's against the snack shack, I believe, and
I think that's correct. And there's plenty of room on the back of the snack shack for signage, so we can.
yeah, if that's. I'm just concerned there's 42 feet of docks with the one, you're about to add another 84 feet or more.
And I fully appreciate the fact that it'll increase public safety and add, different amenities for the fisher people. But I certainly am concerned with Rob, about storage in the future. So if we could, address it, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yep.
And did anybody?
I want to acknowledge Rob's comments. I don't think I think everyone is going to work toward addressing them. I don't think it should impact the provision of the docks at the beach. And the fishing dock in that location is really good because people actually already fish there.
Yep.
So, anyway.
Rob, did you have any other questions or comments before the board?
I just hope I'll be following up with Conscom. I'm concerned with regard to, I've attended, as you know, Andrew, meetings of Conscom. You're quite concerned with regard to surface areas and those things within the buffer zone. If it's 100-foot buffer, I'm not certain where this location is going to be, because I would agree with Alicia. There are numerous town watercraft placed behind the snack shack already, and to the right, as you're looking at it, of the housing area for the restrooms, et cetera. So it's a rather limited space there. I think it's ideal. I like Sal's comment with regard to a water, solution with the sign. I think that sounds to me like that can be addressed. I'm concerned about 42 feet times 3 and where it's going to go. But I'm for the docks. I'm concerned about the storage, and I don't want to take more of your time.
Okay. And I can certainly ask Tim, perhaps maybe next month, we can get started on planning for the off season for next year to get this on our radar, so that we can, have a clear path forward for storages, especially if we'll have, like Rob said, additional sections so that they'll be outside of the buffer zone. But again, I don't want to wear a Concom hat right now. But so how would the board like to proceed with everything that's been presented tonight?
I make a motion that we approve the dock eligibility and funding application.
Well, I think
But
we have to
perhaps-
do
what?
eligibility first.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, what I wanted to say was with the caveat perhaps that the storage issues raised will be addressed. That could be part of the approval. I don't know.
That's a good, yeah. All right, so did you want to make a,
Yeah, I make a motion that the eligibility request for the docks at Long Lake be approved with the caveat that the storage issue will be addressed in the near future.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do a roll call vote because Bartlett is virtual. We'll start with you, Bartlett.
Yeah, Bartlett votes yes.
Mitt,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
and I'll be yes. So that is, the eligibility is approved. All right. Do we want to discuss the project any further before moving into, perhaps the funding?
I move that we approve the funding for the Long Lake Beach dock in the amount of 14,000. Well, your funding request is 14,268, but you had some cents in the presentation you gave us.
Can we,
Would you mind if we just did it for that?
could I ask that we do the same thing we did for the historical and let's round up to a reasonable number with a little contingency in it?
Sure. What do you want to round up to?
What was the
14,268.
15,000?
I have no problem with that. So I'll make a motion. How does that work with this request?
So-
This application.
It is the pleasure of the board to, to raise that. We do want to make sure that we're identifying it as recreation as well, recreational bucket. And do we want to put the same caveat that the storage is to be addressed if approved, as we did with the eligibility?
Yes.
Fine. So the motion has been made. In the amount of $15,000 with the condition that the storage issue be addressed. And to come from the recreation bucket.
Okay, is there a second for the motion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Nick.
Do we want that so they can use it are you gonna need it before July 1st?
I don't think that we can do that because it's going to go to town meeting. So I don't think you actually, we're not allowed.
No, we can,
No, we
Can
can't.
we?
we can do it from the reserve and it'd be available right after town meeting.
Plus you already.
But it
have
wouldn't come out of rec though, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
with rec
Oh,
reserve.
okay. Yeah, that would be extremely helpful. Yeah.
Plus you always have the ability to spend the money that was approved last year.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So Jeff, did you want to amend your motion?
Sorry.
So it will come from the rec reserve bucket.
Yep.
That's the amendment.
All right, and did we have a
Yes,
second?
wait a second.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Andrew, could I just get that for the minutes then? The amount of $15,000 from,
The recreational reserve. With the caveats that the storage be addressed.
so long as the concerns for storage are addressed in the near future.
Do you have to add in that it would be available after town meeting?
The fact that it's from the reserve, I think, kind of implies, okay, perfect. All right, we'll do a roll call vote, starting with Bartlett, our virtual member here.
Bartlett votes yes.
Mitt,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
myself will be a yes. Thank you, Alicia. So, you're good to go, for town
Thank you.
meeting. So yeah, we'll be in touch as we move forward and hopefully get a project going that works for everybody and addresses issues raised and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So moving on to our next project for tonight, we have an eligibility and funding request from the Conservation Commission for walkway improvements at the Long Lake Frog Ponds, in the amount of $88,880, a very round eight figure. So I do have available tonight. I don't know if you guys had a chance to review the electronic version. I do have some funding applications here in print form, as well as the eligibility is essentially.
You need it?
Would you like a?
Yes, please.
Oh, of course. Perfect.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
Oh, you,
That
two?
might be just
What is that one?
the same.
Is that funding?
Eligibility.
Oh, this is funding.
Fine, perfect. And Sam, this is the eligibility as well. Perfect. So, yeah, so the commission is applying to the committee tonight for funding to essentially improve the walkway at the Long Lake Frog Pond. You remember last month, we had another application before the committee to address invasive plant management on the very same site, the Frog Pond at the corner of Lakeshore Drive, Beach Drive, and Lake Drive. So diving deep into this application, we're essentially looking to replace about 1/10 of a mile of pavers. We're looking to essentially redo the entire surface, and in extremely wet areas, we're looking to put in small boardwalks about 10 feet in length. We're looking to make the site ADA accessible. Right now, it is very dangerous. Rob can attest. The cobblestones are separating. It's waterlogged. It's just a hazard for the neighborhood, and people have been injured on it in the past. So we're essentially looking to address the flooding, erosion issues on site, stabilize the path, and again, make it ADA compliant and accessible to all. And so in terms of our goals for the project, it's to enhance public safety and accessibility, support recreation, walkers, joggers, nature enthusiasts. It's going to coincide with the dredging project the highway department's conducting, as well as the invasive management control project that we okayed last month if it's approved at town meeting. And essentially, so if funded, this project would not be able to start until the dredging at Frog Pond is complete. And I probably should have dived into that a little bit, but so anyway, the Frog Pond is in need of dredging by the DPW. And they're currently lining up their ducks to get that done. It will have to go through Concom for permitting, as with this work, if approved. So the site will be worked on over the summer, ideally, for that dredging project. And so if this project is approved by this committee and town meeting, it would commence after the dredging is complete. So if we were to receive the funding from town meeting and that became available July 1st, we would finalize their design in July, go through permitting, perhaps jointly with the dredging process, or separately, depending on what the Concom wants to do. We would contract with a vendor to perform the work and to acquire materials. And in the early fall, we'd remove the existing pathway and eventually install it in the late fall and have a public opening, hopefully in that same time period. So overall, we're looking at about $88,880 overall to replace the walkway with this new ADA compliance, beautiful version. So it would be about $65,500 for the new walkway, $5,500 for the boardwalk sections. Silt fencing, which will go along with permitting to prevent erosion. That would be about $5,300. Removing the existing walkway, which it's a lot of material. There's a lot of pavers out there. That would be about $4,500. And then I've got on here a 10% construction contingency, just in case in the meantime, materials or labor goes up. And we do include $500 for permitting as well. And in terms of project support, Conservation Commission supports the project, as does the Littleton Disability Commission and the Long Lake Neighborhood Association. And on the very back of the packet, you'll see some examples of the degradation of the walkway. You can see it's in
Yeah.
pretty rough shape overall. So hopefully, if the committee so chooses to support the project tonight, we can make strides and make it safer and more accessible to the public.
Okay.
And really an asset for the town beach area and the neighborhood at Long Lake. Yeah, if you guys have any questions,
Yeah, where did all the cost estimates come from?
so the costs are from a professional contract that does that work essentially.
So they went on site and
Yep.
looked at it and came
Looked
up
at
with these
it.
costs.
Yep, and I did take those estimates. I padded a few categories in case things go over a little bit, included the contingency. So that's a pretty solid figure, what we have here.
Great photos.
Oh, thank you. Those are from Rob.
So the paver walkway will meet up with the boardwalks, right? So there will be no joint really, because it's ADA compliant, just.
Exactly. It'll just be a nice smooth walkway. And one that will hold up to all this excess water and other mess that we currently have down there.
The only comment I have is that could you, I mean, and this isn't contingent upon my support for this, but you might want to offer the existing pavers to town residents.
You know, it's funny because a few people have
I mean, there may be
mentioned.
neighbors, Yeah,
A few people have mentioned the possibility of reusing them.
I mean, they definitely could be reused.
That would be great.
Teenagers have been putting them to use.
We don't want those used in that way, but.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's
Dozens of them are gonna get dredged likely.
Oh,
yeah, it's.
Oh,
a
they
shame.
toss them in the water?
Toss them
or-
in.
Okay.
'Cause
Well,
they're-
Yes.
Just last weekend, I wrote on Monday, vandals literally moved a boulder, not quite the height of this, but almost the diameter of 2 chairs, and they right along the pathway that was just installed by Park and Rec last year, and they uprooted it, so now there's basically a
Mm.
crater of about 6 to 8 inches depth. It's a tripping hazard.
What did they do with it?
I have no idea. I know it was done between Friday afternoon and
Wow.
Sunday
They
morning.
just roll it over. They just-
Oh,
Oh.
they didn't carry it away. or-
No.
Oh, no, it's like
Okay.
2 feet from where it was, but then they also, with regard to destruction, they shattered a couple of what seemed to be ceramic or concrete type blocks. They went out of their way to shatter those, and those were scattered and littered in the
Hmm.
same area.
Oh. You'll have to get that boulder back in.
Yeah. The only, is 4 feet the appropriate? Or the boardwalk sections are 4 feet?
Yep,
Is
yes,
the walkway 4 feet or?
the current path is 4 feet across as well, and we would stick to essentially the same footprint for the new material.
Okay, don't recall exactly, but I feel like there was recommendation of having wider sections, at least in areas for turnarounds and for wheelchairs and that sort of thing.
And we can certainly explore that. This project will have to go through permitting through Concom for full notice of intent. So in that, we'd be able to make adjustments where necessary, because we definitely want to meet the ADA standards this time around. So if it does call for, turnarounds, we definitely want to incorporate those. That's a very good point. I don't know how far.
Resting areas or.
Yeah.
Sort of.
In terms of widening it, it is such a sensitive area. Oh, Rob, did you have a?
Just to point out with regard to Sal's comment, because I think it's very valid. If you're familiar with where the scenic expansion area is in the second basin there. So there's a pathway that I'll say is this arm, but then there's a perpendicular extension that goes off to the scenic area. So there would be some greater area potentially for a rest area or a turnaround as you go all the way up, or even just use it right in that immediate space for
you
branches off.
need more money for that though, right?
Potentially,
We're talking pretty minor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you're just doing spots, it's minor. If you added a
Yeah.
foot to the whole path, it could be a
Right.
Yeah.
bigger issue.
In terms of widening the whole path, it is such a sensitive area. I'm not entirely sure how wide we could go
Yeah.
with this existing, but like I said, we can certainly,
And even with the wheelchair turnaround, it's 5 feet diameter, so. Even to accommodate that use, it wouldn't be much.
Mhm.
But I think that's a good suggestion where the T comes together.
yeah.
And probably the end of the scenic walk would be a little. Okay. No, I think it's great.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing is I don't know, is most of the pathway fairly dry and these are just the wet spots, or is it?
So yeah,
How do you address?
yeah, so the individual that did walk the path to come up with the sections did make that recommendation based off of current conditions. My experience walking through there are typically 3 sections that are fairly wet. And I think this will most certainly address, those areas. But in the future, as we move forward with permitting, like I said, maybe we could tweak it a little bit, add a little bit more in one section, take away from another. But I really think that these 3 10-footers should put us in pretty good shape. Perfect.
Hopefully the materials are all local.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah,
Andrew, can you say a bit more about how it would intersect with the dredging of the pond, which
Yeah.
I totally support, and I think it's a great it's a best management practice for water quality because it's a stopping place for silt
Yeah.
that needs repairing, so that's serviceable to that end. It's just we talked a bit about it at the Clean Lakes Committee, and building a walkway is one thing, but dredging and removing material is another. So I don't want to see this project held up in any way by the other one, which
Yeah.
is highly technical.
So,
The permits are much harder to get, I would guess.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, both projects will have to go through a full notice of intent. With the amount of equipment that you could bring in for the dredging, as much as I don't want to delay having the project done, I think that it would honestly potentially harm the walkway going in, just with the big machinery going in. So just as a safe bet to not disturb, the new walkway or the process putting it in, it's probably best to hold off until they're done in their dredging. But I can't imagine it would go past the summer if they do start early on, once a permit's obtained. So I think we'll still be on a pretty decent timetable, even if we wait until the dredging is complete, which is supposed to start, I believe, in the early summer. So,
Good news. Okay,
yeah,
great.
perfect. Any other questions? And so I do have this as a recreation project. You actually can't fund, as we all know, trails, pathways, parking lots through open space. So it'll be the recreation category, but when we look at funding, perhaps undesignated would be best to take it out of. But we can determine that when we get to that phase. Yeah, so we've got an eligibility request before us. Would anybody perhaps like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the eligibility request for the Longway Frog Pond walkway improvements.
I'll second that.
Perfect. It's been moved and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Bartlett. Oh, Bartlett, you're on mute.
I'm muted, yeah. Bartlett votes yes.
Excellent. Mitt,
Yes,
Linda,
Yes,
Saul,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
and myself. Aye. So it's unanimous. Okay, so secondly, we have the actual application for funding. So as I previously mentioned, the commission is looking for $88,880 to complete the project. Did you guys have any other questions?
So the elevation of the new walk gonna be slightly above what's there now?
Yeah, it's going to be built up substantially compared to
So let's go over so we approved the eligibility based on a recreation bucket. So then how do we get to undesignated?
So it's approved as a recreation category, but not necessarily recreation bucket.
Okay. Okay. I don't have an opinion one way or the other.
I
I
mean,
mean, I have an opinion to support this project, but where it comes from.
right.
Do we have to decide that now, which bucket?
We would have to pick which bucket it comes out of, yeah. I would be hesitant to take it directly from the recreation bucket, because I know you guys have a lot of stuff going on, but, yeah,
In the past, have we split recreation and
I know
designated on projects? I can't remember.
in the past, I know like when we did the parking lot for Oak Hill, we took it out of, oh my gosh, I just lost the word here, undesignated. And I believe for the boardwalks that we've done the same, so as not to take away from recreation's,
Mhm.
bucket.
And the undesignated sort of builds itself back up, because what gets put in there automatically?
So we did put a little bit of an allocation in there this time around. I can't remember what the exact percentage
I think
was.
blended funds goes in undesignated and any
Interest and
interest and fees and
A portion of the state match, went in there, which again, I can't remember the,
I thought we had a percentage in undesignated.
believe we do.
I think we do, yeah.
yeah, you mean we put a percentage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So it's fairly well funded right now.
There's a pretty substantial amount in there now.
Do we know how much? That's, you don't know. Yeah.
I don't have the
It's-
figure unfortunately.
I do remember it being pretty well funded right now.
I will go ahead and make a motion that we approve the funding request for the Long Lake Frog Pond walkway improvements to be drawn from the undesignated funds.
Sounds good. Do we have a second?
Second,
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Bartlett,
Bartlett votes yes.
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Sam,
yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
myself, yes. It's unanimous. Thank you so much, everybody.
It's not on the agenda, but what is the status of the track?
So I failed to mention that at the beginning of the meeting, but that was withdrawn
Okay.
for this time around in communications from, I believe, Steve Mark.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Steve Mark. I think the intent is still to transfer funds from the school. Both the gifts that have been made to the school from the
Track club.
Yeah. As well as some funds from the school into CPC. But Steve didn't believe that he would be able to address the project until probably spring of next year anyway. And so we felt like he was scrambling to try and get the right amounts and some other things organized and
So it's still out there, it's just not.
it's still out there.
Yeah.
It will likely show up at one of the fall meetings that I expect we're gonna have, so.
We'll be on the lookout.
Okay. Well, and the other thing I just would say is that in their funding request, one was 25, one was 170. It didn't reflect so I don't know how we. deal with that.
And that was there was confusion over the transfers and
Yeah,
ins and outs and so.
if you didn't know there were transfers, you're going,
Right, so, yeah, the intent is that they're really gonna. The majority of the funding is coming from, the school department.
Right.
And we're
Doing
cycling
the blended
cycling it
fund
through blended funds.
okay.
Excellent. So The next item on our agenda, number 6, is the annual vote on debt service amounts for recommendation to town meeting. Carolyn did provide me a list of the debt service amounts that she got from our treasurer, Robin Healy. Fortunately, I didn't print out a bunch of these, but I can read them off for you guys. So for FY26, for Lucy's Land, it's $4,900. For the Hope Memorial Building roof, it's $10,800. For the Cobb Land, it's $16,315. And for the Boxborough Road Williams Land property, it's $33,600. And so we would essentially have to vote that onto the warrant for this upcoming town meeting.
So how does that work? It mostly land purchases, does it all fall under the?
The open space, yeah.
Okay.
Aside from the Houghton, which would come from, I assume, historic preservation. Perfect. So I don't know, whoever wants to make a motion, do you want to read the sheet?
Okay,
It's at the bottom.
yeah, so, I move that we authorize debt payments for fiscal year 26 in the amounts of 4,900 for Lucy's Land, 16,315 for the Cobb's Land, 32,600 for the Boxborough Road land from the open space funds, as well as $10,800 for the Houghton Building roof from the historical funds.
I second that.
Excellent. It's been moved and seconded. Bartlett,
Bartlett votes yes.
Mitt,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Yes.
and myself, yes, it's unanimous. Perfect. All right, and Carolyn had included for number 7, ongoing discussion of FY25 and FY26 budgets. I really don't have any new information for you guys tonight. So we'll update that at our next meeting.
Andrew, can you share me the text of that? Is that
Of
your
course.
document or?
Do you want this, Mitt, to include?
Sure.
We're just zipping right through this meeting. All right, so the last item on our agenda for tonight is just scheduling our next meeting. The third Wednesday of April would be April 16th. Does that work for everybody?
He's just slipping in right under the deadline for all my vacations. That does actually work.
It's hard to believe it's gonna be April. Wednesday.
Yeah, the Clean Lakes was the 14th.
Oh, you'll have double meetings that week.
Is 7 still good for everybody? Would anybody be game for earlier, or is that hard on people?
I think earlier would be great, actually.
I'm okay with earlier. I don't know about other people.
It's not a problem for me.
Yeah,
Do we want to shoot for maybe like 6? Is that too early?
Well,
I can't do
You can't do
6.
6, okay.
Historic, otherwise I'd be eating my dinner here.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that. No.
30.
6:30? That sounds good. All right, so April 16th at 6:30, and maybe we can make that our new thing if it works out well next month. All right. Is there anything else that anybody would like to?
yeah, I want to make a plug that doesn't have to do with CPC. On
Sure.
April 19th is the Patriots Day, and the Historical Commission is having a special 250th anniversary Patriots Day event from 10 to 10:30 at Liberty Square. That's our usual ceremony. But from 11 to 3 at Fay Park, we're having fun, we're having games, we're having horses coming through, we're having the Boxborough Minutemen, we're having food trucks. So everyone is invited. We hope you come, and anyone who's listening, we hope you come. That's Saturday, April 19th.
Be there or be square. All right.
The Foxborough Minutemen, if you like music, they're gonna bring some really good music.
They are.
They're awesome. fifers and drummers.
That's right.
They practice
Oh, yeah,
year
they don't
round.
usually, yeah, they might do that actually, you know,
So what are the hours at Fay Park?
11 to
11
3.
Perfect.
You didn't invite the subgrade minimum, did you?
I don't believe so.
Good.
We won't ask them.
When you mentioned horses, there.
Oh, really?
All right, if there's nothing further, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. All right, so moving seconded, last roll call vote of the night. Sorry, Bartlett,
But yes.
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
myself. Yes, it's unanimous and we are adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Excellent.
Night.